Hey everyone, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I'm sharing with you 3 inexpensive but beautiful Valentine's Day gifts that you can transform into an even more beautiful gift by simply adding your creative personal touches. I'm going to show you how I love transforming items such as glass containers, candles, and coffee cups into something beautiful. And what better time than the present to see how easily this can be achieved with Valentine's Day approaching. Perhaps you may be thinking about honoring a friend or a coworker, a teacher, a family member, or a loved one with a Valentine's Day gift. If so, let me show you how to dress up a gift and make it look fabulous. I have here a glass container. This actually was a glass container that I had received flowers in. And it's very, very easy to find glass containers at a thrift store or a Dollar Tree or just most anywhere. Very, very easy. Any type of glass container, but it needs to have an indentation under the rim in order to create the piece that I have for you today. I'll explain more about that in a bit. I have here a red, beautiful Valentine's Day coffee cup that has the word love etched all over it. I got that at Hobby Lobby, but it's very easy to find Valentine's Day coffee cups most anywhere at this time with Valentine's Day approaching. If you can't find an actual Valentine's Day coffee cup, simply buy a red coffee cup or a white coffee cup. I have here a number of different ribbons. I'm going to be creating bows for the candle, as you saw, and also the coffee cup. So I have a collection of ribbons here, all Valentine's Day related, some of which I purchased at the Dollar Tree. Those 2 I purchased at Walmart. And those 2 I purchased at Hobby Lobby. Everything now in the Valentine's Day department is 40% off at Hobby Lobby. And I have there some craft twine from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. You're just going to need a small piece of that. And I have a bowl of beads here. I'm just going to be using the red and white ones. I believe I had gotten those at some point in time on Amazon. I have here some wood hearts. Now, you decide what kind of wood heart you like the best if you want to do this project. I chose the one with the kind of curvy, pointy bottom. And I'm going to be actually creating 2 layers, one heart on top of another. So I believe, gosh, I don't know, I've had those hearts for quite some time. Very easy to find those. They have them at the Dollar Tree, at Hobby Lobby, at Michael's. I have there a little bit of trim that I'm going to put around one of the hearts. Some red paint, because I'm going to paint one of the hearts. And I'm going to use one of these scrapbook papers. To cover one of the hearts. And I have there some the Rae Dunn letters. I always have those on hand. I purchased them on Amazon. I've had those for quite a while, but I'm sure they still carry them on Amazon. I have there some Mod Podge. I keep mine in a squirt bottle. And I have 3 different embellishments that you could use as possibilities for the center of a bow. One is a foam rose from Dollar Tree. Another one is a felt rose from Dollar Tree. And that's a Hobby Lobby red glitter button from the sewing department at Hobby Lobby. Some craft wire. I have a sponge applicator, a paintbrush, a pencil for tracing, and a pair of scissors. And of course, you'll need a hot glue gun. I also have Aleene's Tacky Glue on hand if I need it. I'm going to be using a couple of different types of candies. Everything isn't about chocolate. My family loves that cinnamon chewy candy I just showed you. And I have some treat bags. These are long, thin ones from Hobby Lobby, the bakery department there, the cake decorating department. And I have a couple of bags of Hershey's Kisses, and there's the jar that I mentioned before. We're going to start with the glass jar. And again, not hard to find a glass jar. You just have to be sure it's not just a cylinder, a glass cylinder, because that doesn't have any indentation underneath the lip or the top of the glass container so that those beads could rest. We'll talk more about that in a minute. First of all, let's look at the paper that I'm going to be using for the heart. I believe that I ended up using another paper. No, I used that paper. I'm just going to cover one of the hearts. No, oh my goodness. I didn't use that paper. Good heavens. You know what? I changed my mind. That's why I hesitated there for a second. And the reason why is I was trying to match my red beads to the paper that was best suited for the shade of the red. And I ended up changing my mind because that red in that scrapbook paper matched better than the other one. So I'm using that one. Now that we've established that, good heavens, I couldn't make up my mind there. Okay, so I traced around the heart with a pencil on the back of that scrapbook paper. Now I'm just going to be cutting that out, and I will be Mod Podging that to that wood heart. Actually, it's going to be the larger of the two hearts. Another heart is going to go on top of that, and that will be the painted heart. Now, I do have a little hole in that particular heart. It really doesn't matter because it's in the back. I did end up putting another piece of scrapbook paper on the back of that heart just for a finished look to the heart. I ended up doing that later on. I don't think I showed that, but I did do it just to finish off the back of the heart. So I'm going to put a nice thin layer of Mod Podge, a nice even layer, and I put that on with my sponge applicator. You can get those applicators most anywhere. Walmart, Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Amazon. Very easy to find. And I use those always to apply Mod Podge. And I smooth out with my fingers that scrapbook paper on that heart. And there you go. It's super easy to do. Now I'm going to take my red craft paint, and I'm just going to paint the front of that heart. I do 2 coats just for a nice, good, solid coverage on that heart. I just use a paintbrush to do that. And while that's drying, I'm going to begin creating my little bead garland that's going to embellish the front of my glass jar. Now you can see there what I mean by having a little bit of an indentation at the top of the jar. So just choose a jar that has an indentation or a curve underneath the rim of the glass container. So I cut off a piece of that burlap twine from Crafter's Square at the Dollar Tree, and I figured about how long of a piece I needed, and then I took a little bit of hot glue and I put it on the end of that twine, because when you go to feed that twine through the beads, it's really helpful if you have something to kind of close off the end of that jute twine. You can also use a piece of Scotch tape. That works as well. So we're going to go ahead and feed enough beads so that that twine can be wrapped around, or that garland that I'm creating can be wrapped around the top of the glass container. I'm doing red, white, as you can see there. All right, so now I have a sufficient amount of beads, and I want my garland shape to form a kind of V in the front of that glass container. Now I tie my twine in a knot so that those beads sit there secure, and then I cut off one of the tails of the twine, and I just leave one on there. And I fed a couple of beads through or into that twine, but I ended up only needing one of the beads. You'll see here I'm going to be pulling that off because I want my heart to be able to rest comfortably on the front of that glass container, and the two beads just made it a little bit too long. So my bead garland is actually kind of looking a little bit like a necklace for my glass container, but that's the look I'm going for. And I'm going to be attaching that heart to that jute twine that I fed through all of my beads. But before I do that, I'm going to put a little trim on this heart. And this was a little bit tedious, but I think it was so worth it. I had this trim that I had picked up at Dollar Tree, and I don't know if you could see, but it's little tiny hearts. And I thought it would be really so cute if those little tiny hearts were a border around that heart. So I had to trimmed my trim, say that 10 times really fast. And I'm going to be applying that to the back of my heart, just enough so that those little hearts peek out from behind the heart. Now, when you're going around the curves, anytime you're using trim, it's helpful to just snip the trim a little bit, as you can see I'm doing right there. Not cutting into the hearts, but just putting little snips so that that trim will conform to the curves of the heart. Anytime you're going around a curve or a circle, anything like that, if you put little snips in your trim, this will enable you to maneuver your trim to sit nicely on the curves. And that's what I'm doing right there. Very little dabs of hot glue to adhere that. And this looks really cute, as you'll see here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and finish it up. And there you have it. Look at the little hearts poking out from around the heart. I think that looks really cute. Okay, so now I'm going to be applying XOXO on my red heart. Now, I always have these letters on hand. They're my favorite stick-on letters. I do have a Cricut, but sometimes it's just so nice to have letters all done and ready to go. And I always keep these letters on hand. I have them in black and in white. I believe they're called Ray Dunn font. But I just love these letters, and I use them often on different projects. The beautiful thing about these letters is when you put them down and they have a sticky back and you're not happy with the placement, or maybe it was just a little bit crooked, I find it so easy to get these letters off of any surface. And one thing that I do that helps me get them off. Now, I wasn't happy with the way that looked. I wanted to do it differently, XO and XO. But that little picker tool, I call it the picker tool, from Crafter's Square and at the Dollar Tree. You're going to see it in a minute, but it's right up there above my hand. It has kind of a little hook with a little point on it. Oh, that works so great to pick those letters up if I need to reposition them. And I did need to do that on this piece, and it worked just great. So as I mentioned, and as you can see, I did XOXO. Now you could do whatever you like. You have about as much room to do 4 letters. So you could, of course, put love if you like. Or you can leave it plain. I mean, you do you. I just thought this was a cute touch. There's that tool. And I got that at the Dollar Tree. I totally love it. I use it for so many things. So once I get those letters on there straight and I'm satisfied with them, I'm going to apply a layer of Mod Podge on top of there, just so that those letters stay put. I don't think they're going to peel off, but just to be sure. I'm going to take that sponge applicator and just put a nice thin layer of Mod Podge, and there you go. And I glued that red heart onto the heart with the scrapbook paper, and I am going to cover the back of that. I hadn't done it as of yet. So I took that little picker tool, which I was just referring to, and I poked a hole in the holes that were in that heart already. It came that way. Now I ended up not really using the holes, but I ended up, there was just one hole in there. I'm sorry, there was just one hole, that's right. I had other hearts that had 2 holes, and I was thinking that was it, but no. This one, sorry about that. This one had just one hole. I poked a picker tool through the hole, and then I fed that little burlap twine through it, glued it on the back, and there you have my little XOXO heart with the red bead garland. Now, in hindsight, if I had to do this over, I would look for a little bit smaller bead if I were to do it over. I'm happy with the piece, but I'm just saying I probably would look for just one size smaller on those beads. But anyway, it's full of Hershey's Kisses, and I just love it. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the candle. Now, I'm showing you here some ideas for embellishments for the center of the bow. I ended up using the red glitter heart, which is a button that I purchased in the sewing department at Hobby Lobby. So I traced around the candle jar lid, and now I'm cutting it out with my scissors, obviously. I'm going to be Mod Podging this onto the top of that lid. So now I'm just trying to match up pinks and reds, which even I always say pinks are so difficult, but reds are as well. Sometimes it's difficult to match up reds and pinks. So I always just experiment by holding whatever it is I'm trying to match up to it and trying different options. Now I put this ribbon around the rim. I found that a 5/8 inch ribbon works very well on this lid. Now this candle is from Hobby Lobby. Every other week they are 40% off. Love their candles. The jar is gorgeous. It has etched design in the glass. The candles smell heavenly. They're not a heavy scent, but they're a nice light scent. And I always buy my candles for gifts at Hobby Lobby. But of course, there are plenty of other sources for candles. One would be Home Goods. They have a lot of beautiful candles at Home Goods. So I'm just putting a thin layer of Mod Podge on my lid, and I'm applying my scrapbook paper. Now, I did end up using a different ribbon around the rim. I just had a change of mind, and that happens with all crafters. Sometimes your original idea isn't the one that you ultimately settle on. All right, so it's bow time. Now I'm going to be using 4 different ribbons to create a very pretty bow to go on attached to the lid of that candle. Each of my loops are around 3.5 to 4 inches. I use my regular method of folding over my loops, pinching it in the middle with my thumb and my index finger, twisting the ribbons so that the right side is up. And I'm going to be doing 3 loops on each side. You can see me pinching in the middle there. These more narrow ribbons, you have to have a really tight hold on those as you're forming your loops. This is going to be the first layer of my 4-tier bow. I put a little bit of craft wire right down the center, twisted in the back, and now all of my loops are secure. And you can see how pretty that's going to look on that candle. Now you may have another method of creating your bows. You do you. This is the way I do it. And I love mixing patterns in my bows, especially for Valentine's Day. I love mixing the pinks and the whites and the reds. Now, when I stack my bows, or when I create the layers of my bows or the tiers of my bows, I always change up my colors layer to layer. For example, I'm using a red bow as my bottom layer. Then rather than to choose a red background ribbon for my next layer, I chose a pink one that has red in it that will pick up the red on the bottom layer. If you get where I'm coming from here. It's a very good idea to, be mindful of mixing your patterns, but also creating a variety of color as you stack your bows. Okay, now I'm doing layer number 3 as I work my way up toward the top of the bow. This ribbon I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm just creating all of my loops around 3.5 to 4 inches. And I'm creating 3 loops on each side, each one of those layers that I'm creating, each one of those little bows that's going to be stacked all together to create one bow. And again, same thing, 3 loops on each side. Fold over my loops, twist the ribbon, fold it over, catch it with my thumb there. Did you see that? How I'm always using my thumb to keep everything collected right down the center. And my index finger on the other side of the bow, on the underside. I twist my craft wire behind there. Now I have tier number 3. And again, notice I used a red that's going to sit on top of the pink. And last but not least, I'm using a white with red hearts. This was a Hobby Lobby ribbon. Same method, always, that's what you'll see me make, is the fold over. Catch it in the middle with my fingers, twist the ribbon, fold it over. You always want the right side of the ribbon facing up. If you're interested in learning how to make bows, I have multiple tutorials. If you go to my channel and click on the videos and scroll all the way down to the very bottom, my very first video that I made on YouTube was how to make a bow. And it's the best place to start with just a very basic bow. But I explain in great detail, methodically and slowly, how I create bows. And then after doing the basic, more elementary bow that I teach you on that video, then you can scroll up and see a number of other videos. And those are the ones where I start really getting creative with bows. Doing 2 and 3 different ribbons in one bow. I also teach you some bow tricks and remedies. But I say it often, there's just nothing like being able to create a beautiful bow for your DIY projects, for your gifts. All right, so we have all 4 of our bows made. Look how pretty they are. Now I'm going to take a larger piece of wire and I'm going to begin stacking my bows. But before I do that, I'm going to trim off any excess wire on the back because as I stack them, I want a nice flush application. I want to be able to press the center of each bow up against one another very firmly and very flush. And number 4, and I'm pressing all that together really, really firmly with my thumb and my index finger. I'm going to put a wire around that, and I'm not going to put a center loop down that bow because I'm going to be putting that red glitter heart button right in the center of that bow. And this is going to look so pretty on that candle. Now, if you would like to use I'm sorry, my hand's a little bit out of frame there, but it'll be back here shortly. If you would like to use a little bit thicker or a wider ribbon and do maybe just a couple of loops on each side, maybe just a 4-loop bow, you could do that as well. Just be mindful of the size of your candle jar. And you could as well place an embellishment in the center of that bow. That it's up to you. For this type of projects, I just love the more narrow ribbons. That's just my preference. But you could use a little bit wider ribbon, like a 1.5 inch, and then create like a 4-loop bow. That would work. Okay, so I'm showing you here. That's a felt rose from Dollar Tree, and that's a foam rose from Dollar Tree. Just showing you some options. And ultimately, I used that red glittery heart button, which I love. Put a dab of hot glue on there, and I'm going to place it right down in the center. I'm going to be placing this bow right on the jar lid. This is not a screw on top, so I'm just going to place it right on the lid because to remove the lid, you just pop it off. You don't have to unscrew it. So that bow will sit fine on there. You could see that I changed my ribbon there. I had a little change of mind. Now I'm going to be placing that bow right on this side, And I place it right there where the seam was, where the ribbon tails met. And I put some hot glue, and I'm just going to go ahead and adhere that bow right to that lid. It's going to look so pretty on that candle. I often dress up candles when I buy them for gifts, and they are so well received. Everyone just loves them. Now, of course, we have a little tail trimming to do here. So I'm going to be giving this bow a trim on all of the tails. I like for them cascading down the side, but not necessarily touching the surface of the table. So I cut some of them long, some of them a little bit shorter. If any of my tails, the ribbon does not face the right direction or face outward, I just take a little dab of hot glue and position them so that they will. That's very easy to do by just reaching up where all of the bows are gathered together at the center and just pulling the tails so that you can arrange them accordingly. And then up underneath where the loops are, you could just take a little dab of glue to get those tails to behave. Now I'm just popping that lid right on that candle jar, and I just think it looks so pretty. I love it. I've done these candles with kind of a farmhouse burlap rustic theme. And I used little burlap ribbons and wood roses from the Dollar Tree. So pretty. I'll do one of those one of these days for my channel. All right, last but not least, we have this beautiful coffee cup. And I have these treat bags. Now, the treat bags, everything depends on how big your coffee cup is. This one is a little bit tall, so I wanted to be sure that my bag was long enough so that I could fill the bag with the candy and then have room to gather it on the top with a little bit of the plastic bag just kind of gathered at the top. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. So yes, I am going to do another bow. I'm sorry. Some of you might be getting really tired if you watch me make a lot of bows, but I just, again, I don't skip having you watch me because I figure that each time you see it, each time will become clearer and clearer. The construction of the bow, how truly easy it is to make these bows, and the technique that I use in creating them. I'm going to be doing a 4-tier bow on this piece as well. I do not put anything in the center of the bow after I get them all completed. I believe I put a center loop on this one. I'm going to be placing this bow right on the top of the handle of that coffee cup. 3 loops on each side. I keep my tails around 4 to 5 inches until I decide exactly how I want to trim them off in the end. So I make sure I leave enough just so I have that option. And now I'm using a very cute ribbon from the Dollar Tree. This is the X&O ribbon with the little hearts. And notice how, as I was mentioning before, for my first layer, it was a red ribbon with pink hearts. And now I'm using a white ribbon. So there's a lot of contrast from layer to layer. This is a 5/8 inch ribbon. again from the Dollar Tree. I'm wrapping craft wire around each of the bows, and then I'm going to layer them all together to create a very beautiful bow to rest on the handle of that coffee cup. That's layer number 2. All of these layers or tiers to this bow are going to be 3 loops on each side, 6 loops all together. Made exactly the same way. Pinch, fold over the loop, pinch it, twist it, fold over the loop, twist and fold. And this is layer number 3. Another option for coffee cups, as I mentioned, you could find Valentine's Day coffee cups most anywhere right now, but you might try going to a thrift store to find a coffee cup. Maybe if you don't want a Valentine's Day coffee cup, you could just do a white one or just a red coffee cup. Another great option for a coffee cup gift is to melt down a candle from the Dollar Tree and fill the coffee cup with the candle wax with, of course, a wick. If you've seen that done, that's another great gift and a really fun one to do. And you can put a bow on that as well, on the handle. You'll want to take that bow off once you burn the candle just to keep it away from the flame, but just for the presentation as a gift. And there we have the 4th layer, and we're coming to the end here of these 3 projects. But first I have to layer all these bows together to create a beautiful bow for that coffee cup. I'm creating a little center loop there. The narrow ribbons are a little bit more difficult to work with than the larger ones, so you have to be patient. And I'm just twisting the wire now. I'm going to layer all of those together. And just as I layered the other bow together, you'll see me doing the same thing here. And this is a really, really beautiful bow here. If you like what you see on my channel, I hope you will consider subscribing if you're not a subscriber already, and leave me your comments. I love receiving them. I post a minimum of 2 videos per week. Sometimes I do 3, sometimes I do 4. If you set up your notification bell, you could be notified every time I post a video. So I put a long piece of wire right down the center of all of those tiers to adhere them together. And now I have a little bit of wire on the back. I'm just going to use that wire to attach it to the coffee cup handle. Of course, this bow is going to be taken off after the gift is received. So they can just whoever the recipient is, can just untwist the little wire. You could also use a pipe cleaner if you wanted to. Now as well, I do put a little dab of glue behind that bow. And that's not a problem because this will simply peel off because it's hot glue. And there, I'm just wrapping the wire around the top of the handle. And I'm going to have to cut down my tails or trim my tails. And I'm just going to put that little bit of glue that I mentioned right behind the bow. This will just help to hold it on nice and secure. I'm going to be trimming my tails up just so they don't touch the table surface. I do like them cascading down the side. And I do angle my tails. You can dovetail. That's fine as well. And I'm just trimming everything up. And then I'm going to be filling that treat bag full of that cinnamon candy. And this just makes a really lovely Valentine's Day gift, which is suitable for a friend, a coworker, a teacher, any family member, any loved one. It's just appropriate for anyone. You could also put chocolate in here. You could fill this with Hershey's Kisses or any type of other delicious chocolate brand that you like. But I just thought I would show you something without non-chocolate, if you will. Okay, now we have that bag. I'm just going to slip it into the coffee cup there and fill it up. I used 4 boxes of the cinnamon candy. And now everything is all filled up there. Now I'm going to scrunch together the top of that treat bag. But I decided rather than to struggle with trying to tie that ribbon around it, I just put a little piece of wire. You could use as well a little piece of pipe cleaner or like a bread tie. But I just use a little piece of wire, very easy to take off. Then I kind of fan out the top of my bag. And now I'm just going to simply tie a narrow ribbon around the top of the bag. And that is going to be it. Now all of these gift items that I've shown you today are rather quick and easy projects. And I think they're all easy projects. And I think they're just beautiful embellishments to what is already a beautiful item, but now even more beautiful. And I just tied a regular 2-loop bow around the top of there. And I'll trim up the tails a little bit with a little angle, and this piece is done. And there you have it. So pretty. And here we have all 3. The beautiful candle with the embellishment on the bow. Oh, I love that. So pretty. And the coffee cup with the red candies. And then the beaded garland with the wood heart. With the glass jar filled with Hershey's Kisses. I hope you love these projects, and I hope you feel inspired to dress up one of your gifts, one or more of your gifts, to loved ones or friends or to whomever you choose. Okay, until next time, you all take care.